Well, hello, Matt.
Hello, Josette.
Oh, this is such a fun conversation, and I couldn't think of a more inspiring human being to have on the Makers podcast to just dish out wisdom and juice and joy and inspiration. Yeah. What did you think of meeting my darling Skye Marshall?
She is so inspirational and so charismatic, but she was speaking our language,
yep,
like to a T. She is the personification of what it looks like to get what you want. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm ready when we're done. I don't know what to do right now. I'm just, the energy's crazy amazing right now. So.
You just got a dose of Skye Marshall, and I hope that everyone listening gets a dose of Skye Marshall, because I felt like we needed to take notes during this conversation. So right. I'm definitely going to enjoy listening to this back again. Skye can be seen on CBS in the show Good Sam. She's a series regular on there. She plays Dr. Lex Truly. You can also still catch her on The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, because she's on Netflix for life, people. And she's got a bunch of lovely movies. Misconduct was one of the early ones with Al Pacino that was just fantastic. And there's a few coming out this season, so we'll add those to the show notes.
I have a feeling that by the time this episode is out, she'll be even more famous than she is now.
Yeah.
It just seems like it just flows. She is in the flow.
Yep.
She is, the universe is matching her energy 100%, and it's pretty remarkable.
I thought you'd think that, which is why I brought her on. Yay, I'm so glad. Well, ladies and gentlemen, presenting the incredible, inspirational Skye Marshall. Hello, dearest.
Hello, you closet freak.
She's literally calling me a closet freak now. That's wonderful. That's where our relationship's got to. That's great, Skye. Thanks.
Why not?
The closet's working, though. People are loving it. It's a real icebreaker for people who don't know Josette.
It's a real icebreaker, and I feel so humbled by this experience, I must say. It's very humbling.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, Skye. Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you as well.
Thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it so much.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this is probably one of the more thrilling discussions we're going to have, just because I know you, Skye, and I know what you bring to any sort of deep and meaningful conversation. So I've really looked forward to having this conversation and letting you loose on the world with your wisdom and your inspiration. So Matt, so you're filled in.
Please.
Skye and I have been friends for a very long time, nearly a decade now. She was one of my first friends in Los Angeles, and she actually did what I did to you, is she stalked me and told me, and she insisted I was going to be her friend. So, and when Skye says something, you don't disagree. You don't disagree. But it has been 9 years of, I must say, Skye's been one of my greatest teachers. And so it's great to have you on here and to let you share some of your amazingness with the world.
Well, thank you for having me, my darling. Yeah, it's been quite the journey, hasn't it?
It has been quite the journey.
Yeah. And yeah, I'll never make sense of that moment when I was just like, it was like I had a Marvel trailer play in my head after our last day in class, and you were in it. And it was at different ages, and I was just like, oh, wow, okay, cool. Just got that vision. Excuse me, miss. No, it might be weird, but I think we're supposed to be friends, so fall in order and formation as you will, but this is happening. Take the path of least resistance and let's just do this.
Just go.
Dude, I did. I just bowed down and said exactly what you wanted me to. I was like, okay, ma'am, I'm your friend now.
Yeah, because
No.
it's awkward, especially in Los Angeles and especially in this industry, because a lot of us are a bunch of adults that have left wherever we came from to create a whole new family. And I find that many ways it's like you have to date a girl just to become friends. It's like, okay,
so
hi,
do.
just checking to see if you're available this weekend. If you want to get a coffee, I'm free between 11 and 2 p.m. We can be wherever you want. We're like super flexible. And you want to go for a hike? It's like, girl, I'm not trying to date you. Like, do you want to put on some pajamas, get on the couch, pour our feelings over a glass of fucking rosé, and like tune into something and like just like, and it was easy with you. It was easy to just get in the pocket and just be family and skip all the BS and
We really
get to
did.
work.
And also you came into my life at a time where, I just moved to LA too. And so I was so rudderless and sort of anchorless and didn't know where was up. And you really gave me such a solid start in the city and such a, so much direction when I didn't have any. And I think it's what you do for people. And I know you do this, but I think you do it more than you even realize you're doing it, where you offer people just gems, that sort of carve a path for them as they're moving through the world. I know you've had a really intentional journey, and I wonder if you could share a little bit about, not to go into like huge detail, but a little bit about where you're from and how you've gotten to be a hugely successful actress, now working as a series regular.
Thank you. Oh my goodness, didn't we? It's just weird hearing it out of your mouth.
Isn't it weird? I did take a deep breath there before I did it because I was like, oh, it's so exciting.
Sounds fantastic, but I do remember the days where we swapped wigs and held onto shampoo bottles, pretending to believe those things, and then until we didn't pretend anymore.
Yeah.
So many. You already know. I could write a book. It's so many layers and chapters in this life of mine. Super complicated childhood, which was the richest part of my life. Growing up wealthy as a doctor's daughter and a daughter to a teacher in Virginia, and then can I curse on here? I can curse on here,
Dude, as much as you like.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I'm hosting this damn podcast. Let's be real.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I curse more than anyone else.
shit hit the fan, and it went from riches to rags when I was 12 years old. And at that time, I watched my mom, struggle from being a member of the country club, mother of a Girl Scout, 4-H camp kid with an endless amount of income, to then have to dust off her bachelor's degree and figure out a way to survive with 3 young kids and return back home to Chicago and face everybody who she waved away in her Cinderella, car. Bye, I'm off to my fairy tale life with my doctor husband and the mansion in the hills, and bye everybody. And now she had to face her shame and embarrassment and return home with now 3 kids and start from the very bottom. And I watched her do that. And one of the first memories that I learned was she told me, first she said, get a degree. And the second thing she said, never depend on anyone for your livelihood. Want them, but don't need them.
Yeah.
Need yourself and need God. And that hit me like a pound of bricks. And from that moment on, I was 14 years old at that time when she said that. From that moment on, I never felt the need to ask for anything from her. It was just like, okay, I got to get a college degree because if anything happens, I have to have that, right? Because it's important. Yeah. So that's what made me go to the military. I didn't ask her if I should go or if it was okay if I should go. I just said, no, this is going to get me the degree. I can't afford it. So I'll serve the country. And that's how I ended up in the Air Force. And then once I got to the Air Force, everybody at that time was enlisting just, for free college, free university. Nobody was actually trying to serve the country. And then a year after I enlisted, 9/11 happened. So it got real fast. And That there was the very next lesson that I learned in life was how to create a very healthy relationship with fear. How to, when you feel fear, run towards it, right? They don't train you with a rifle to be scared or sense danger or sense the threat and run in the opposite direction. No, they take us as civilians, they break us down, and then they rebuild us to become these human beings who have a really healthy relationship with fear. It might look crazy to the average citizen of the world, but that's what we're seeing right now. Even with the war in Ukraine, you're seeing civilians and you're seeing people that have a certain personality trait that didn't get on the train. I understand there's people that are forced to stay, but then there's also ones that are voluntarily staying, like those female teachers that are like, no, I'm good, I'm staying. My students are here, I'm here. You know, there's a certain quality and a trait of a person who, A, will walk towards the military, because not everybody would even consider that. And then once you're there, then that's when they mold you. So that's where I learned how to process fear. Because, I mean, you and I both know that my relationship with fear, it's been quite the whirl with all of ours, right? I mean, and the world itself doesn't help. You know, right when you figure out your own personal fears, now you have to deal with the global fears and try and console everybody else. But fear is not real. You know, the only place that fear can exist is in our thoughts. It's in our thoughts.
And I think it's so hard. It's so hard too, because the world is set up in a way that it's like the world profits from our fear. You know, so the more it can drum up fear, the more profitable the world becomes. So it's in the system's best interests to keep that going. So you've got a hell of a lot to come up against if you actually want to not engage with that, you know, or use it for good. Yes.
And even if you sat in your apartment and never went into the world or turned on your TV and had a flip phone, you would still have to deal with your imagination.
Oh, yeah.
And that is where fear is produced. Now, you know, don't misunderstand me here. Danger is a very real thing.
Sure.
But fear is a choice. It is a choice whether we lean into that or not.
Yeah.
That for me, is what made pursuing acting a lot less challenging than a lot of other people that I was surrounded by.
Yeah.
Equal stakes. I saw the obstacle course in a different way than others. What I learned was what happens to the human body when we are scared of something, right? So there's this theory, Josette's heard this before, but there's this theory of two things in our head. That's the I and the myself. If you think about the movie Inside Out, right? Which is one of my favorite movies when it comes to breaking down the conscious and the subconscious mind, right? Like if you think of the movie Inside Out, picture just like two animated characters in there, and it's I and myself. So when you say sense danger or threat, I is the receiver of information, and then myself determines if it's real or not. So that's why we say, so I told myself, so I told myself, right? So I receives the information, myself decides if it's real or not. So if I sit inside of an audition room and I see, you know, top billed name actresses sitting across from me, and I'm hearing all the noise going on in the room of someone else killing it, right? Immediately, I now have identified a threat in the room and a fear on the other side of that door. So what happens is the brain then, because to remind you, our body is not new. It hasn't been upgraded like an iPhone. It's the same brain that protected men from saber-toothed tigers, right? So our body is designed to make us great. So what happens is, though, once you identify, I said, yep, that's scary and that's dangerous. Myself says, I agree. And like a transformer, shoots serotonin throughout the system, and it shuts down your digestive system. Why? Because your digestive system occupies most of the energy in your body throughout the day. So now your body needs that source of energy to then shoot a drink. That's why sometimes, like every time I have to go to audition, I have to like take a shit first. Like my bowels just immediately just drop, right? That's why people have to throw up before a TED Talk or a first date, right? That fear, once you agree that it's real, the digestive system shuts down, your bowels literally just drop whatever's in it. We like to call it butterflies, but that's just the body is responding so that the adrenaline and the energy can go to all of our major muscles to either fight a saber-toothed tiger or run as humanly fast as possible.
Yeah.
That's what the body is designed to do. So if we believe and understand that when I feel this fear, my body is designed to now set me up like a fucking Avenger, and I am now at my highest potential as a human being, suddenly I could hear a whole audition happening in the room way more clearer than before. It's like I could see my pupils dilate. It's like this another version of you shows up. But we've been conditioned for too long to believe that when we feel that fear or that the butterflies in the stomach, that we're not ready, or we're gonna fuck up, or that this feeling is associated to you're gonna cave, you're gonna mess up, it isn't yours. We've associated that feeling to a completely wrong response. Our hands are shaking because it's energy. It's like ready to be released. So once I was able to masterfully like associate, like when I felt that, like, oh shit, these bitches better get ready. Like it became confidence, and I was just like ready to take that into the room. Whether it was for me or not, that's none of my business. As long as I walked out of that room feeling like Tony Stark, I was like ready to go pop a bottle and celebrate. And that's what fear did to help my career, right? So now I have figuring out what I needed to create an independence. That was the first thing at 14. Then after the military, it was how to now process fear. And what the industry itself taught me that helped create the career that I have today is managing my ego. And Hollywood taught me.
Yeah.
You know, stop getting offended. We get offended way too much in this industry. The behaviors of others isn't a reason to get upset. Like we are responsible for our emotional reaction to any of that.
It's so true.
Any of that process. It's nobody else's responsibility on how we react. And we get offended by so much when we're trying to create a way in one of the most competitive industries in the world.
We hope you love listening to the Makers podcast as much as we love making it.
And if you would like to show your support and keep us going and keep us making magic and bringing these gorgeous creative conversations to you, perhaps you'd consider becoming a contributor to the Makers podcast. If you'd like to do so,
visit anchor.fm/themakers/support to get started. And now, back to the show.
You know, having watched so much of your journey, like a decade's worth of you pursuing this and having success, of course, all the way along, the thing that's remarkable is you saying that you were developing that ability to manage the ego. But to me, it always just looked like you've always had this incredibly grounded way about you and a confidence in yourself that, I mean, it's been a shining example in a lot of what I've sort of looked to and held up to sort of strive towards, because, you know, I've obviously had the disease to please half of my life. And so I've, as a recovering perfectionist and kind of sober disease to please person, looking at you going into the world and sort of shamelessly just hitting, you know, balls out there and seeing what sort of landed. It's just so amazing. Like, where did that come from?
Honestly, that comes from just being a Black woman in America.
There you go.
My ancestors endured far too much for me to be indecisive about my power. Period.
Man, that is powerful.
Period.
Ugh.
I don't get to play small. I get to beat myself up. I'm fucking dope. Like when I went out to Ghana by myself, and I went to the slave trade castle and I touched those walls and I looked out the door of no return, it was like vibranium being shot through my bloodline straight from Wakanda. You know what I mean? It was really strange because like when I came back to America, I suddenly was like, hey, you guys know what's cool about slavery? And they're like, what the fuck did she just say? Right? And I'm like, no, wait, hear me out. When I went over there, like, so I learned that, like, the people that were captured, right? They had to sit in these caves at this slave trade castle for sometimes a month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they're sitting connected and chained to each other, sitting in each other's feces and menstrual blood and vomit and fear and darkness. And if you survive that mentally, emotionally, and physically, you then advanced to the boat. And if you were able to make it to the boat, now you had to sit on this hell of a fucking journey, literally, and survive for a month to 2 months, mentally, physically, and emotionally. Thousands upon thousands couldn't survive and got tossed off of that boat, no different than the ones in the cave. So now imagine the lineup that mentally, emotionally, and physically survived all that to then step foot on American ground.
Yeah, it's superhumans. It's a collection of superhumans.
Superhumans, right? And then those superhumans gave birth to the Black culture. We, as Black Americans, we come from champions, pure champions. That's why you throw us any sport, we're going to dominate. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And here my ancestors were sipping tea and hoping to have the mosquitoes not eat their skin as they landed in Africa and colonized the shit out of the place. It's like, great.
You know what I mean?
No wonder I've been trying to please people all along. Oh,
really?
God.
But that was, I have to remind myself of that line of human beings that created what we now know as Black Americans.
Well, yeah, that energetic inheritance is unrivaled. I don't think there's anyone else who's inheriting that kind of that DNA. There just isn't, energetically and physically. It is a group of superhumans.
Yeah, and history has shown to consistently and constantly make sure you control that.
Well, of course, because they're terrified of it. I mean,
they're terrified.
Yeah, they're terrified because what would happen?
Petrified. And we're still just 13% of the population. But as you can see, if you get us on board with your movement, we are the loudest ones in America. We are the loudest ones. You know what I mean? Like, I was cracking up because don't get me started. Anyway, so that's why, as you know, I went into the corporate world, and after corporate, I had no idea what I wanted to do because I was so conditioned to believe that acting was just a hobby. Just because you go to the gym doesn't mean you're going to be a personal trainer. It's just like, okay, so you do some theater, you do some performing arts, you like it, it's fun, that's cool. It's not a career though.
Well, at what point in time did it flip for you then that it became obviously the career?
So it was in 2009, and I have now spent 2 years working corporate at a pharmaceutical marketing firm in New York City. I wanted the Carrie Bradshaw life. I wanted to have expensive heels and date the man until I'm 50 and just be in love with the Big Apple. Like, that was going to be my plus one, was New York City. And I had that experience, but it was also very much like a Clark Kent Superman experience. Like, my personal life was off the chain, and then I'd clock in for work, and it was like some jerk off checking me about my PowerPoint presentation. And I'm like, I was just hanging out with Mary J. Blige, and it just wasn't linking up, right? It was like my life was two completely opposite ends of the spectrum. And I knew something wasn't right because I was so easily welcomed into this circle of either extremely talented artists or radical visionaries or millionaires. And I just would fit in the pocket with no resistance, but then would have to clock in Monday to Friday, and it just didn't click. So I knew something was off and something wasn't quite right. And I had a conversation. Josette knows this story; she's heard it 1,000 times before. But I had a conversation.
It
with
never
my mom.
gets tired. Let me
It
tell
never
you.
gets tiring because it's so real,
It's
and I
so
feel
good.
every time I tell the story, I still get chills on my arms because I remember it very clearly. But I was in my bed. I called my mom, and I said, "Ma, I definitely hit a wall. I don't know what I want to do in my life." And she was like, "All right, well, what's wrong?" And I said, "I hate it. I worked so hard for this cubicle. Like I went to the military to pay for college so I wouldn't have any debt. And then I busted my ass in college, didn't go to all the parties and the things that I wanted to so I can graduate with honors so that I can get my corporate job in New York. And then I got my corporate job in New York, and I've been here for 2 years, and I'm just debating, like, do I throw myself out the window or down the stairs? Like, that's pretty much like my water cooler conversation internally." And she was like, "Well, then, that's what you need to ask God for is clarity. If you don't know, then you ask for clarity." And at that time, I didn't have a relationship with God. I was a fan of God's work, but I did not have an actual relationship with him. So I said to myself, okay, cool. You could have told me anything at that time, honestly. I would have believed you, because everything that I did was so contrived. It was so calculated. It was so planned.
Yeah.
And I was told at that time, if you want to make God laugh, tell it your plan. So immediately, another lesson that I learned, I surrendered. And I just was like, whatever it is, whatever. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? That's it. Whatever. I'm done. Be detailed. Just where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? And I was stuck in that prayer space for, it was almost 2 weeks. And one day I popped up out of my sleep 30 minutes before my alarm clock after having a super vivid dream. And it was just crystal clear. It was like a movie trailer of Los Angeles enacting. And I immediately judged it. I said, hell no. 1, hate acting. I mean, hate LA. 2, I've worked way too hard. I'm not going to go do a job that anyone can just choose to go do. It's not like you need prerequisites. Like, I came up with all the reasons as to why it was a dumb idea. I'm about to be 30. Like, it's too late in the game to start. There's no roles for Black women right now. Like, So I put a pin in that. But then almost every day after that, it was everywhere, Matthew. It was, a train would go by and be like, visit California. Or friends would be like, I'm moving to LA. Or it was just, or my friends would be like, oh my God, have you ever thought about being acting? Like, you're so funny. Or like, you're so dramatic. Like, whatever. But it was everywhere, to where I knew that was my first time where I felt like actually is, oh God, that the universe is truly fucking with me right now, because this is way too on the nose. And once I noticed that, and once I noticed the presence of energy, of source, and how I just manufactured that, I was like, oh, whoa. Had a conversation with a girlfriend of mine who was extremely wealthy, successful, and as cool as a cucumber. And she put me on, she gave me the starter kit of manifestation. The Secret, some crystals, and Pablo Coelho, The Alchemist.
The Alchemist.
Right?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The seminal
She
work.
She gave me the starter kit.
That was the starter pack. That's a meme right there.
Right? And I did. And tapped in that moment. And from the day I had that dream, when I woke up from that dream, it was only 2 months later that I left New York and drove to LA, because I was just bombarded with it. And then 3 years later, I met Josette in my very first acting class in LA. Yeah.
It's so wild because you've been so obedient to that voice. I think that's what's also been so fun to witness your journey, is you've been so obedient to the voice of God or source, the universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call it, in your life. I know you've spoken about the idea of everything sort of being a puzzle, and you're just here to like put the puzzle pieces together. But could you speak a little bit more about it? Like, how does that show up for you, and how do you listen? Like, what is that process like?
it is really having the mentality of expectancy, right? So if I say, I want my own TV series, which that's what I'm working on right now.
Let it be so.
Right? Now, if I then decide that is done, right? Because the most regretful people on earth are those who felt a call to creative work, who felt their own creative power, and then resisted it or gave it no time or energy.
Oh, it makes me want to weep thinking about that. It really does, because it's the calling of all of our lives, right?
Yeah, we all have, like, especially when it's that creative work, right? Like, you and I do it all the time, where we'd be walking and be like, oh my God, that would be such a great set. Or like, or like a song will come on and we're doing a whole music video in the car, crying and all, fully committed.
Well, you and I basically were decided on a brilliant concept for a television show that we then went on to like 2 years later after we didn't do it. And then we saw the thing on TV. Like Skye and I was texting her being like, I'm watching a scene from the thing that we said we were going to write that we never wrote. Like, what is happening? It's like magic. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's and I think for me, it was just, when the time comes for me to bet on myself, I always double down. So if I say, I want my own TV series, that's kind of like cards to the chest between me and the universe. I just picture like the two of us playing fucking cards. Like, all right, motherfucker. That's my relationship with God. I'd be like, all right, bitch, let's go. What we gonna do? What we gonna do? Huh? I don't care. I don't follow you, but like, this is my request, right? So then in a second, I put that request out, and I've now bet on myself. Now I'm willing to take high risk because I know who I'm playing with. I'm playing with the almighty source, right? So when I say I start taking risks, I do things like, for instance, what I'm doing right now. I'm on Good Sam, and I'm a series regular. It's my first series regular.
And you are killing it. You are killing it, let it be said.
Thank you very much. And I'm number 3 on the call sheet. So I have Sophia Bush and Jason Isaacs right above me, right? So then Jason Isaacs is currently directing the episode that we're filming right now. So if he's currently directing the episode that I'm filming, I then knew our showrunner creator, Katie Wesh, is gonna come supervise him. Yeah. So if Katie's now coming to supervise him, I now go to set on my days off and I sit in the video village with her. I now, while Jason has to act, I say, Jason, since this is your first, because this is his first time ever directing anything. Wow. So I'm like, Jason, since this is your first, day having to act and direct, how about I direct while you act? And he was like, great. So now I'm sitting in Video Village next to the showrunner yelling action and calling out continuity on the screen and calling out and giving notes. And they're like, yeah, that's great. She's watching me. I'm not stupid. I play chess, not checkers. Right. So when I ask for something, I now take actions that I normally wouldn't take. Yeah. Right. You start to become brave, and you start, all of a sudden, God starts sending you these light bulb ideas. You can choose not do it and give yourself all the reasons why you shouldn't. Or you can choose courage and just fucking do it. I do my research, right? So now I'm like, okay, let's see. While in the hospital, most orderlies and nurses and techs are Black and brown, and that's great. The surgery unit, surgeons, is still very much a conservative boys club. So let me do some research. Okay, if that means that around 5% of surgeons are Black, let's see how many women. 2.6% of surgeons are Black women in the world, even though open heart surgery is done by Black men, whatever. Okay, that's the story. That's the story. I'm a part of the 2.6%. Cool. Now I'm building a whole fucking spinoff in my head, right? So then I start planting seeds. I'm like, Katie, did you know that? How crazy would that be if Lex? You know what I mean? Suddenly you get these ideas. Yeah. And you start doing really courageous stuff because why? You just bet it on yourself. A lot of people like to put that power in other people's hands because it's too scary. So they give that power to an agent, which I don't have, and I haven't had since 2017. They give that power to a manager, which I manage her. No, I love Mary. I have a manager, but I manage her. No, I love.
She would also be tickled by what you're saying, so that's what's so great about that.
I know.
She does nothing but just giggle at Skye all the time. I think that's what's so great about it. She looks at you like a mother, like a proud mother, and giggles every time you speak. It's just the most wonderful relationship.
She really does, which is why I have to manage her, because she's like, you need your own show on Apple TV and Netflix. I'm like, whoa, hey now, wheel it in. But you know, she's known from the very beginning when I had nothing. I had nothing on my resume. I had zero, and it was again cards to the chest. And I said to her, I was like, you might want to. What I say? You remember just that? I said,
you might want to invest in Apple before it becomes Apple.
You might want to invest in Apple before it comes Apple. You might want to invest in Apple while it's still in the garage.
Yeah, she did, but she did. I mean, she signed on super early in your career. I mean, she was there before, you're right, before the big credits arrived. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She saw what we all saw. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When you bet on yourself, you say things and do things like that because you know your faith is that source, God, is going to create the path. It's already done, but you have to not just listen, right? But it's how you show up. I think when we start to understand more and really come content with the fact that failure is a part of the process.
Oh my God, a huge part.
It's a part of the process.
Absolutely.
It's not outside of the process. It doesn't take you out of the game because, again, ego likes to divide the world between winners and losers. It doesn't work that way, right? Failure is a part of the process. I think people forget that. So when I fail, I'm like, cool, all right, awesome. Either I win or I grow. That's it. There's nothing outside of winning or growing.
It's such a brilliant way to keep the train moving forward, though, because if that's the thing, is then it's never, nothing is ever working against you. So everything is therefore just propelling you forward. So that's so helpful to digest it in that way, you know, and kind of metabolize failure with that in mind. It's brilliant, actually.
Yeah. What do they say? The scariest bridge to burn is the one between you and the person you thought you were.
Ooh.
Wow.
Let me tell you, that is very true. Isn't that so true?
The scariest bridge to burn is the one between you and the person you thought you were supposed to be.
Man, that's so true for my life. That was definitely hands down the scariest bridge. Hands down.
I know, that's why I said it. I watched you go through it.
It's like she knows me. Man, it's incredible.
I watched you go through that, and it's such a marveling experience on my end that just in the short 5 months of me being outside of LA, you're like racking up all of these accolades. Like you've been awarded at a film festival, you've got scripts picked up, you started a podcast. I'm like, oh my God, wait a minute, what is happening? You know, and it's just
I'm just trying to keep up with you. That's all, damn it.
No, that's not it. I think for me, on the outside looking in, it looked like you years ago decided I'm doing the work. I'm going to do the work, and the work has nothing to do with my career.
No, nothing.
You know what I mean? And that's to me what's so important is that when you're living a life on purpose, meaning you're living purposefully, the purpose has to be grounded in, like, how do I serve humans? Like, how do I help the world be better, right? So if I then say, my only purpose right now is to inspire. I just want to be able to inspire. I want to inspire as many women, and I want to inspire as many people of color, and I want to inspire as many veterans, and I want to inspire as many people that come out of Chicago with no money in their pocket, or whatever my experience may be. If I can inspire by representation, that is my purpose in life. Guess what? By default, I get a TV series. which then gives me
Right.
which then gives me a platform of influence, which then brings on the followers, which then brings on the eyes that look for something, and boom.
So is
I
that
just
the
did
way?
purpose?
Is that the way you think of it? So you're looking at purpose first as inspiration source, and then passion of what I want to do falls in line behind that.
Yes, that was another change that happened right before the series regular happened, honestly. Because I was and here's the thing, there's no one lesson that works, right? As you know, we have a toolkit full of stuff, right?
Oh, for sure.
There is so big supporter of vision boards. I love vision boards, right? I think that it's great to be able to see where you want to go, what you want, and to have a sense of accountability when you wake up in the morning and you look at it, right?
Well, it's also so wonderful to have seen so many of your vision boards and know that most of those things are in your life now.
It's
including
crazy, right?
walking into your apartment in Toronto to come and visit you last October and like literally seeing pictures of an apartment that I'd seen on a board probably 5 years ago.
The exact same
It's
layout.
crazy.
Eerie. No, it's eerie.
And Skye was actually on set when I did, by the way, Matt, Skye was on set when I walked into her gorgeous loft apartment in Toronto. And she just left a key for me with the driver who picked me up from the airport. By the way, her life is so fabulous. This is what I got to experience. A brief moment in it was just so delicious. But I walked into that apartment and I screamed. And I ran up the stairs and down the stairs and around the kitchen screaming because I was just like, oh my God, she did it. Like, I was so overwhelmed with pride that I was like, oh, anyway, I looked like Kate Winslet in The Holiday running around Cameron Diaz's house.
But also, Matt, you're living in a 400 square foot apartment and then renting that out on Airbnb so I can sleep in the bed with Josette and stack some money to pay my rent.
That happened. She did live with me for a month.
Yeah.
We shared a bed. It was cute. It was real cute.
I bet.
I don't know. So it's been quite the journey. So yeah, specificity is key. Yes, I do believe that. For instance, when I first arrived in LA from leaving New York City, the first vision board I had, along with the first headshot I had, was me in a pair of blue scrubs, and I had CBS networks on my vision board. Problem was I wasn't clear. So I ended up, what was even more wild is my girlfriend who I moved in with lived directly across the street from CBS studios, directly across the street. I could throw a rock and it would go into the stages. And I was like, oh my God, it's right here at CBS. And then I ended up on that CBS lot that same year for 22 episodes of being a background artist on CSI New York. So that's where I learned, okay, I did manifest the CBS job. I wasn't clear, right? So I had to be more specific. Once I became more specific and I was like, I don't want to just be on a CBS show because I see what you did there. You made me a damn extra. Motherfucker. I want a series regular. I want to be a badass doctor. I want to take my 6 years experience in the medical industry and light it on fire. And the universe said, your wish is my command. It took 10 years, but I still got it. But time is man-made. So while I waited, I had fun. And that's what you got to witness, Josette. You got to witness me have fun while I waited. That's all that was. I wasn't super uber confident all the time. I wasn't always patient, but I had nothing to complain about because I knew that everything I did was leading me to that. And because time is man-made, I could not suss out how I'd get there. The only way I knew like that I was getting closer was where my deserving feelings lied every time I look at the vision board. So if I look at the vision board and it said, like at the beginning of my career, and it said, 4-bedroom house, a lead on a network television show, and all this, I would lay down at night. The voice in my head would say, oh, you ain't even in SAG. You don't have an agent. You don't have a guest star credit. What is you talking about? That's where my deserving feelings lie, right? So that means
I also love how the
happening right
asshole
now.
in your head sounds, because she's wildly entertaining. I mean, she's mean,
She
but she's
is.
wildly
She's the blast.
entertaining.
No, but here's the thing. While we may that, like you just said, she's mean, but wildly entertaining. Never did I ever receive that as me. In fact, I received it as my to-do list.
That's incredible.
So while that little voice is saying, you ain't got no agent, you don't have no, what we're conditioned is think positive.
Yeah.
That's negative thoughts, think positive. I was like, okay, bitch, cool. You challenge me if you want to. Let me go get the SAG card. And what did I do? I made a fake ass web series that I never shot and got in the SAG. And then what else? And then it was like, okay, what else, bitch? You ain't even got no credits. Cool. Watch me. I got stimulated by that, and I saw it as my to-do list. Because then what happened? Once I got into SAG, once I got the agent, once I got the guest star credits, I then looked at that same vision board, and it was just like, all right, oh no, actually, okay, let's stack some more. Let's go ahead and I think I need a recurring. I think I need some recurring credits. I need to like build up some popularity. Like, they don't even know you yet. You only got like 1,000 followers on Instagram. Okay, bitch, cool. Just you wait.
Yeah.
And I went back to work. You know what I mean? And it was like, for me, it wasn't negative talk. Go get that. Now go get that. Now go get that. People think that it's sweet and nice and tender to be pushed by God. It's not all the time. In fact, it could be quite militant.
I think that's what I've experienced on the receiving end of you as a friend, and a friend who you obviously care about, otherwise you wouldn't do it. But you have pushed me in ways that a lot of my other friends haven't cared to, or would just, would not, I don't know, like we very early on, we joked that because we got it from a church meeting sometime, I don't know, when we had a church phase, we had a moment where we were just praying to the Holy Spirit to make it all happen for us. But where someone was calling it a destiny advocate. And I think that's, it's something that I still hold on to, because it is, I felt that, and you've done it with such it's kind of like a parent who is sure of where that child is going to go and who knows the child's potential, but the child can't see it yet. And in some ways, I feel like it's the very definition of kindness, because I think a lot of people mistake kindness for being nice and kind of being sweet to each other. But I think oftentimes kindness is holding one another accountable, and also holding someone accountable to what their potential is, and the truth, And yeah, I mean, I can't thank you. I'll never be able to thank you enough for doing that in my life, because while you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for all the people around you. And it really is it's a magical thing that you offer people. Honestly, dude, it's incredible.
I appreciate that. If you hang out with me too long, I might brainwash you into believing in yourself.
Yeah, it happened. Oops.
The best kind.
Oops.
So, Skye, when you were talking about, you got very specific about the what, which I think is amazing. How were you then patient with the how of it all during that process?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's a great question, because the how is none of my business.
Yes, I love that.
The how is none of my business.
I obsess over the how so much. So tell me what you did.
Yeah, no, the how is absolutely none of my business. For me, it's very much, I don't even know how to put it. I don't know what to call it. I call it light bulbs. That's what I call it, right? You get a light bulb. I will give you a for instance, right? Pilot season of 2020, before the world. Pre-COVID. I'm ripping and running around LA, completely and utterly drained, from audition to audition to audition to audition, because everybody's wanting to see the diversity of the actors and actresses that they don't know, and they just want to see. They just want to see you. Whether you're right for the role or not, the role could be written for a 50-year-old white man. Doesn't matter. I just want to see you. So I'm running around like a chicken with his head cut off, and I finally, it was like It was a Friday. I had one of those crazy weeks where everything was last minute. And now it's Friday and I have nothing to do. And I loved it. And I said, you know what? On Friday, I'm gonna do this list of errands, and that's what I'm gonna do. But I can guarantee you, Thursday night, after what I just went through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of all those last minute producer sessions and a test that wasn't a test but was a test, it was just remember that, Josette? It was a nightmare. I literally went from one test at ABC with the casting director, Kim Coleman, and then she and I both ran over afterwards to Netflix to do another test with Jamie Foxx in the same day. And I had to change clothes and hair in the car. So it was one of those weeks, and Thursday night, I just lay down and I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done helping them.
Yeah.
I'm done helping them. I've done a lot to help all of them and make all of them look good. I'm done. I'm ready. It's time. And I said, and then Friday morning I woke up. Now that Thursday prayer, that's a request. Once it's up, it's up. and God moves like Amazon Prime with me now because we have a very healthy relationship. There's zero doubt when shit shows up. So anyway, put that up in Amazon Prime. Next day, Friday. I have a shit ton of stuff to do. I'm trying to tell you, Matt, I had a lot of stuff to do that day.
I believe it.
Something just said to sit down and be still. Of course, what do we do to our brains? We immediately judge ourselves and be like, see, this is why I'm such a procrastinator, right? I'm so lazy. I'm a procrastinator. And I sat down and I just was quiet and still. And I was like, oh, screw it. And I pick up my phone and I just start scrolling away on Instagram. It's Friday at 2 p.m. Where was I supposed to go? I was supposed to go to Trader Joe's. That's where I was supposed to go. But here I am, sitting on my couch, scrolling through Instagram. Boom. Katie Wesh post on Instagram. Good Sam. Sophia Bush. I just met Sophia Bush 3 weeks ago and totally fangirled her. That's crazy. And now Katie Wesh, who I guest starred in her pilot in 2019, almost a year ago, that did not get picked up. I've been keeping in contact with her this whole year. Here's her new pilot. Oh my God. And it's Sophia. That's incredible. Huh. Let me write Katie. Congratulations on getting Sophia Bush, Katie. Love her work. So proud of you. Yeah, emoji, emoji, emoji. And then I sat down and I was like, bing, light bulb goes off. I reach out to my manager. Hey, did you get the Good Sam script? Got it. Any good? Yeah, it's really good, actually. Anything in there for me? There's only one other female leading role within your age range. Her name is Pippa. Sweet, kind, nice, emotionally unpredictable, like the best friend role, kind of written white. Like the way they have this written, she just seems like the mousy, like cute, like.
So totally your casting, right? Like totally perfect for you,
totally,
actually. Mousy and
totally
white.
Opposite, right? I was like, Pippa? Yeah, no, we all pictured Pippa, and I bet she had red hair, sorry. So then I'm like, did you submit me for it? She said, yes, we did a few times over the past 2.5 weeks. We heard nothing from casting. I said, all right. I stopped texting. I sit there and I wait. And I'm just like waiting. Bing! Light bulb goes off. You should just reach out to Katie. You know those memes of Kermit the Frog with the hood on his head and he's supposed to be that voice that gets you to do stupid shit? I have that, right? Except the thing that scare you the most is usually the things you have to do. Like our growth only lives outside of our comfort zone. So I'm like, oh, okay. And what now? The brain could have been like, oh, you don't want to reach out to her. That's too desperate. Oh, you don't want to do that. You're crossing over the line. Oh, wait, you have to go up chain of command. Reach out to casting. Hana. Nope. Yeah. I said, fuck it. I reached out to Katie. And I said, Katie, I said, hi, congrats again on booking Sophia Bush. Quick question. Since you've always been straight with me, she hasn't. But if you say that, now they got to be straight with you.
Beautiful.
And on top of that, it justifies why you're doing this. So I'm like, since you've always been straight with me, I figured I would just come directly to you and ask, could you see me playing Pippa? She replies back and she's like, absolutely. Wait a minute. Are you not still working on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina? I'm like, no, Sabrina's wrapped and done and canceled. I am absolutely available. And she's like, huh. Now, remind you, Matt, this is Friday at now around 2:15 p.m. She says, well, I hate to do this to you, but is there any way you can be at CBS today at 5:30 for a studio read-through test? I said, yeah. She said, okay, now there's 3 scenes. You only got to do 2 of the 3 because, you know, I was like, no, I'll do all 3. She's like, okay, Skye, but there's like 13 pages total. They know you're just getting this. So like, you don't have to be off book. I was like, no, I'll be off book. I'll do all 3. I'll be off book. She was like, all right, Skye, look, I have this good feeling about you and I really want you to do your best. So like, I don't want you to over stress yourself. And I was just like, Katie, look, pressure is a privilege. I work very well in these conditions, but what you can do for me is you can meet me there an hour early and give me the cheat sheet that those other girls have. And we can do a working session. And she was like, okay, great. I'll see you there at 4:30. I was like, awesome, done. I look at my clock, 2:30. Got to drop the dog off. Got to fucking get my shit together, print the things, read the lines, get somebody to run the lines while I'm driving, get over to the Valley. I'm there. I'm at CBS. I'm doing this work session. And I tell her everything that I'm thinking about. But the first thing I say to her is that breakdown that you have, that Pippa character, I'm just here to let you know, I am only here to change your mind about her. I am not Pippa. I'm not going to try to be Pippa. I think that Pippa's going to show up here in about an hour. I am only here to change your mind. They're just like, all right, what do you have in mind? I was like, well, I think first thing is the most important is that I am going to play a Black woman who happens to be a doctor. I am not going to be a doctor who happens to be Black. Yeah. And if you don't know what that means, I can break that down for you. I'm not going to be a doctor who talks like a white girl, dresses like a white girl, dates white boys. I just happen to be Black because you guys want to fill this culture quota. I'm not doing that. So I'm going to bring all the sass, the energy, the pizzazz, but I also know how to code switch when I'm in the room with a white patient of a certain age. And she's like, yeah, give it to us. So we did. We played. And then here come the executives. And here come the Pippas. And just so I don't trick
the line of gingerhead woman.
You know what I mean? And you know, the brain is very traitorial. The brain will turn on you because the brain is not designed to make you happy. The brain is only designed to keep you safe. So if something seems scary, it's going to try to talk you out of exiting stage left. Every time. So I was just like, I had to choose my own mantra. And in that moment, I said, I'm going to choose. I heard y'all needed me. Emergency. Y'all good? I heard y'all needed me. I'm here. What's going on? Y'all okay? Like, it was that kind of energy. Like, whoa, are y'all all right? You know, so I kind of went into the room with that energy. Like, hey, what's up? Y'all good? Okay. All right. I'm here. Let's do this. You're welcome. Like, I didn't say it, but that was my energy of it all. And, you know, Katie texted me. She's like, you did great. You're fantastic. We'll see you Monday for the network test. And I get back home and it's like 6:30 p.m. and I'm sitting on the couch and I said to myself, had I gone to Trader Joe's, like, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck just happened?
It's so wild.
Nobody did anything about it. Fucking light bulb.
Yeah.
Which is what I call it a light bulb because it is energy. It's source. That's God. It is energy. It's a switch. And we all have it. We all feel it. Problem is there's a lot of people that judge it. There's a lot of people that ignore it. But we all have it. And that's what I mean when I say that it would be a disservice if everything my ancestors endured, that I would be indecisive about my power. That's my power. That's the power that I decide I have. It was given to me.
Yeah. We
all have it. Whether you want to access it deliberately or not, totally up to you. But when I feel it, I don't judge it and I just do it. Messy and all, I don't care. Manipulative, it can be sometimes. Opportunistic, sure, why not? I'm my own agent. Authentic, sure, always. I'm going to come to you as full as I can be. I'm not going to come in and fake funk my way through something. What you see is absolutely what you get. But Jordan, who I am obsessed with, being from Chicago and growing up believing that the Bulls winning a championship was actually a national holiday.
Well, during the 90s it was.
You know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
in high school in the 90s, so that was like prime time.
Yep.
And he has his biography, he has this saying where, Josette has heard this before as well, but he has this saying where, you know, it's harder to win the lottery. I mean, it's harder to get into the NBA than winning the lottery, right?
Good
so if you
God.
can get into the NBA and be a professional basketball player,
Yeah.
that means you are absolutely incredible. The only difference between the starting five and the players on the bench is there are players that know how to play a basketball game, and then there's players that know how to play the game of basketball. And that's key, especially in this industry where we are very much self-reliant, self-sufficient, self-promoted, self-employed.
Of course.
But at the same time, we as actors, we are a fragile bunch. And yet we need to be strong because 90% of our lives is rejection. Even as I sit in my series regular, I'm still told what I can't wear, what I can't say, what I can't do, what I can't, you know what I mean? Like, so for me, when you ask, once you're specific, yes, specificity, know what you want. Boom, you've decided this is what I want. Awesome. You go into the world every day with the mentality of expectancy. It's like you're looking for it. You're literally looking for clues. You're waiting for light bulbs and looking for clues. At the same time, you're enjoying life. The way that life can become even more enjoyable is because you're looking for clues and waiting for light bulbs because of your faith in what you've asked for. That makes each day enjoyable, right? When you then fail or fall, when you understand that's a part of that process, you take it like a fucking champ because you know that you're now getting closer. The more you fall, the more you fail, the closer you're actually getting. It's just like in Mario Brothers. Every round you get gets harder and fucking harder. But at least you know, okay, I'm growing, I'm going, I'm getting there, right? So
Just
like
one more
that's what
mushroom.
makes
That's all you
it
need.
fun. Yeah, that's. But if you keep getting hit and you sit in it and you're just, you know what I mean? It's like you can't complain your way through this. You can't romanticize about your dream, but dread the execution.
Right.
Get the
Yeah,
fuck
of
out of
course.
here.
Right.
And that's what I see a lot of in LA. I'm empathetic and I'm very supportive when it comes to dealing with personal challenges of being on your own in LA and New York, or starting over from fresh, or having to do a reset, or coming out of a divorce, or having trouble with your kids. I'm super empathetic and sympathize with personal day-to-day challenges. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even career as well. Punch a fucking wall, throw an axe, and then move on. But we cannot complain our way through it.
Well, I think it's just we have to
The
always keep.
universe doesn't respond to that. So that's why, Josette, when you asked, how did I do it with such confidence? And you didn't hear me complain a lot about the industry, is because that wasn't going to bring results. And I'm very result oriented.
I think there was also just like a, you know, I mean, you've said it already during this podcast, but I think there was a knowingness of who you were in the world. There was a knowingness of your right to be in your position on this earth, you know, standing in your shoes. And I think that creates that confidence just naturally anyway. I'd love to know, I mean, obviously, because you're speaking a lot about like intuition and following the inner guidance. I wonder if you can speak a little bit about like how that sort of jumps over into the creative sphere and how how you feel like your creative process is sort of influenced by intuition, or do you have a process even? I mean, how are you working when you're approaching stuff?
So you're asking as far as like when I am then doing the acting?
The actual work, yeah, the actual creativity, yeah, the acting.
Well, couple things that I recently learned with good old Jason Isaac.
Oh my God, I love
master
him.
class within himself.
Right.
Yeah, he is.
And I've heard this before from other successful actors. but I didn't test it out because it's extremely scary to do. And that is, I will learn my lines. The first scene that I have up on the day, I will learn it on my way to set. And then while I'm filming that scene, because the wide shot, the master shot is first. So if you fumble, whatever, it doesn't matter, it's a fucking wide. By the time they get coverage, you're completely off book and you have honest, real choices in the moment. While I'm shooting that first scene, during setups, when we're back in the green room, I'm now learning the next one. And now while I'm shooting the second one, I'm now learning the third one. That was very scary trying that at first. But Jason said you have to trust your own instinct. You have to trust your instinct. And that's why, like, actors like Jason Bateman, when you see him like stuttering and fumbling, it's so amazing to watch.
Yes.
Amazing to watch people fumble through their thoughts, because that's human behavior, right?
Yeah.
We as actors want to be always, obviously, but like this perfectionism that comes with performance. We fear being flawed in our performance. But I've gotten better the more I've let go of figuring out the things. The second thing Jason Isaacs challenged me on is, as soon as I get the sides, is to cross a line through the stage direction. Don't even look at it. Don't look at it at all. What would you do? And if the director wants to adjust you, they can, but the writer's not you. One, this isn't, you have to do what feels most authentic to you and how you respond in it. So I've been able now as a series regular to be able to put that to play, and it's extremely scary sometimes at first, but now I'm so much more used to it. Of course, when I have to say things like catecholamynectomy, polymorphic, ventricular tachycardia. I'm just trying to get catechardinergic, polymorphic, ventricular tachycardia. I have to say that tomorrow. That's disgusting. So things like that, I'm absolutely going to like learn and practice so I can say it like I say it 1,000 times, right? But as far as like those intimate and more personal experiences, that was something that helped. And I'm not going to lie, I think you saw as well, even with auditions, you could not give me too many days in advance. I wasn't going to look at it. Like I would learn it and look at it and at least get one night to sleep on it. And
well, you've always had an obnoxious memory for lines, which is just, as a person who doesn't have an obnoxious memory for lines and who has to just like work and work and work at them, the thought of leaving them till the last minute is literally terrifying to me. Even when you were talking about that auditioning story, and having to like learn the lines on the way down to the studio, I mean, that would literally make my insides fall through the bottom of my pants.
Oh, no, my insides never fell out.
No. It's fascinating though, because I mean, I've had the benefit of seeing so many of your auditions over the years, and what I love so much is that in this role now on Good Sam, I'm seeing so much of you in this, and I'm seeing so much like of the real Skye, which is so delicious because it's so lovely when roles are so close to us. But I've also seen you completely transform yourself, and one of the greatest things I've ever seen you do actually was an audition that you didn't end up booking the job on, but like you're such a transformative character actor as well, and I think that that's maybe what folks don't know about you who are just sort of tuning in for the Good Sam season of your life. I wonder, what is the difference though for you, like creating a wildly sort of charactered character versus this one that you're playing now? How is that process different?
It's a good question, but it's not. My process is, I have no process. That's my process.
My gosh.
I'm not even lying to you. There's no formula to any of this.
Wow.
Really, it isn't. You know me. How many classes have you known me to be in?
I've known you to do two.
None.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Done. Yeah. All right, cool. So
and Skye always usually leaves the class being like, yep, no, I know better. And you do. That's what's crazy. And I leave going like, I'm like, wait, maybe should I? I leave those classes like feeling less confident than I've ever felt. And she's like, I'm out of here. This is useless. It's so good. I love it.
Well, the universe loves a wild heart. And I just kind of go in and just throw you know what? One of the things I would tell people is be willing to embarrass yourself in public. You know, go to a grocery store and just sing at the top of your lungs, right? Go walk down the sidewalk and just say, people, can I please have a hug? Can I please have a hug? Like, be willing to embarrass yourself in public. The more that you're willing to embarrass yourself in public and let go of perfectionism, the more you're willing to embarrass yourself in an audition room. But if you wait for the audition room to come, for you to go in there and just throw stuff on the wall and see what sticks and play and just not care not care if you're right or not. You know what I mean? It's like, blah. A lot of times I would go to those auditions and just, blah. And I know which one you're talking about, Dirk Gently character, right?
Oh my God,
like,
she was so good.
Right?
So good.
Like, but that was the one time I had 5 producer sessions for the exact same character. And every time they laughed. And I'm like, you guys just keep inviting me here because you're having fun. Right. And that's just what it is. I dumped a whole bag of M&Ms down my throat and did half the scene with a bunch of chocolate just pouring out of my mouth. And they were just crying, laughing. So it's like, good. Or when I auditioned with Leah Daniels and like, I'll go up and like try and touch her for a kiss scene. And she's like, Skye, stop it. I'm like, come on, Leah, don't make this awkward, right? And it's on tape. I don't give a shit. Or when I auditioned for Grey's Anatomy and she's sitting down, but the camera's up. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to stand up. Come on, let me see those hips. Get on up. Come on. I need the eyeliner to be up. Like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or the producer session I had with Marlon Wayans at Warner Brothers, and they were all sitting on the couch, and they had that one chair sitting for me, and I told the director to get off the couch, sit on my chair, and I get the couch. And they're like, absolutely. Do you know what I mean? It's like owning that room, because at the end of the day, if I've done the work, if I've memorized the lines and I did my hair and my makeup and I've come up with some choices and I put gas in my car and I drove to the valley and I found parking and I put my heels on in the elevator and I'm sitting outside with these uncomfortable ass chicks, guess what? By the time I walk in that room, that's my room. That's my room. Y'all are going to adjust accordingly. I respect casting directors, but they are glorified self-tapers. They are there to give us the cheat sheet. So I would go in there and I'd be like, okay, give me the cheat sheet. What did the producer tell you? What's the beat? What's the pace? What are they like? What is it? Give it to me. I'm not going in there guessing to impress the casting director. Hell no.
Right.
How is that serving me? They're not the decision makers. They're putting me on tape for the decision makers.
Yeah, exactly.
They're there to give you all the things you need. And then from that, I add my spices to it. And then we go from there. And then once that's done, I have already Instagrammed, searched the whole fucking creative team. So if you're public, I'm following you. Because if you're public, that means you want just as much attention as everybody else. I'm gonna give it to you. If you're private, I'm not gonna mess with you. And if the casting director who I just worked and played with and made her laugh is also public, now I'm about to DM you and tell you how much fun I just had with you. Now we're friends. And it just kind of, it's that chestnut checkers thing. Checkers to me is doing the work, sitting in the waiting room, going in there. Oh yeah, you want me to stand right here? Okay, yeah. Do you have any questions? No, I'm good. Okay. All right. And action. Okay, thank you. That was good. Okay, thank you. And then go sit in the car. That wasn't even your real voice when you said hi and thank you. Like, what was that tone? You know what I mean?
I love that you say like owning the room though, because it like what you're describing is ownership across the board. I think that's what's so great, is it's like you're taking ownership of every single facet of your life and you're literally molding it into exactly what it is you want to make and create in the world. So it feels like the creative process for you is no different than the creative process of your life, right?
Very true. Very true. And that definitely is what, you know, growing up in Chicago and growing up in New York taught me. You know, if you walk in a room, you have to shift the energy somehow. It's not the room is designed to shift your energy and to paralyze you or get you to doubt. You go in and shift the energy of that room. You wake that casting director up. You know, I don't care if it's I don't know what it has to be real to who you are. Otherwise it's just annoying and fake. But I've always found, you know, I have a creative way of responding to the first two questions that anyone usually asks. And that's, how are you? And what's your name? Right? So we already know those are coming.
Mm-hmm.
At an event, a party, a casting, a producer session, whatever. So I walk in and they say, hi, how are you? Just trying to not sell opioids. You make an uncomfortable ass fucking joke, right? Just trying to keep from stripping on the pole. God is good. Hopefully I can, it's just, it has to be, authentic to yourself. If you're not funny, don't try it. If you're not, if it's, it has to be, that's what I mean. There's a formula to this. I had to figure out what worked for me. What's your name? Skye Marshall. And yes, I was in the Air Force. So I've heard all the jokes.
Right.
The jokes. But now I've just snuck in that I was in the Air Force. And I was like, wait a minute, you were in the Air Force?
Yeah.
So it's like I've found ways to shift of me before they can decide who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also so beautiful because
seconds.
it feels like what you're describing is a sharing of yourself. You found a way to share yourself in a quick way. And I think, one of the greatest sort of freedoms in my life was coming to understand and coming to learn that we really do have nothing to prove once we realize we have everything to share. And I think that that's actually what you're doing, is that you've always been so generous with sharing yourself wherever you go. You going into a room to shift a room, that's a generous thing to be doing. It's a generous way to be in the world because, my gosh, how many people come into a room to take from the room or to get something from the room, but you're going in there to energetically shift it and to give and to offer. And it's always done in such a generous but boundaried way, I mean, I keep learning lessons from Skye. I mean, even when I was visiting you in Toronto now in October, and we'd gone out a bunch of times. Skye just took me on the most incredible trip and showed me the whole town. It was meant to be celebrating her 40th birthday, and I was like, this feels like it's my 40th birthday. But anyway, but we'd had a few nights of being together, and then we both sort of hit a wall and we were like, oh my God, we're exhausted because Skye's also working and having to be tour guide to me. And we got home from a dinner and she was like, right, I'm going up to go and have a bath and to, get on my phone and scroll and hang out and do nothing. And I was like, great. And it was like early, it was like 8:00. And I thought it's such a beautiful thing because you have such clear boundaries. And in that moment, I'm usually the person who's like, okay, let's keep talking because here I'm visiting and we need to be nice. But there's just such a way of, because you're not sharing, because you're sharing in a boundaried way, it feels like you can almost give more freely because it's never gonna compromise yourself in a way, if that makes sense. All that to say, it's a beautiful lesson,
Oh, I thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely, this of me. I love myself. Like I am definitely my own best friend, and I'm also my own mother, and I'm also my own coach, and all the things. I have a lot of voices in my head, but I love all of those voices. They've all helped me tremendously survive since, I was a teenager, and I've had to decide, here's your $1. What are you going to do with that $1? No one's going to give you another $1. You have to go earn it. What are you going to do?
That's remarkable.
So everything I do, like someone asked me, like if I had to, what was this? This was with CBS morning show. They asked me last week, and it brought me to tears. And she said, if you were able to have a conversation with 20-year-old Skye, what would you say to her? What would you do differently? And I and I pictured it in my head. And see, I want to get emotional now. But I would say thank you. I would say thank you, because if I pictured 20-year-old Skye in my head of just all the shit
Yeah.
And the choices, and like not having anyone mentor or show me or point in a direction, and me just trusting instincts, and so that Skye today can play make believe and make a shit ton of fucking money doing it, right?
So beautiful.
Yep.
So everything I do today is only and solely so 50-year-old Skye can just say thank you. I'm only doing this to make life easier for her. That's it. I don't care to have all the material bullshit. It's like, can I make it easier for the next decade version of me?
Future Skye is already proud and already grateful. I mean, I just know that so much because, yeah, there's no other response to what you're doing, quite frankly, because it's remarkable, dude. It really is. It's absolutely incredible. Oh, you're such an inspiration, my darling. Good
Getting
gosh.
us all emotional over here.
I know. I'm like wiping tears away, man. So obviously watching me wipe tears away. I want like a last little quick button on the end before we end this gorgeous conversation. I just wanted to ask if there was any hot tips you had for people who were wanting to live a more creative life, a more sort of creatively fulfilled existence. If you had any secret lessons for them or ideas.
I'll say, you're gonna die. Do something about it.
Wow.
You are going to die. Do something about it. Take risks. Bet on yourself. I know it's so cliche to say, but it's so real. And that's, if you're scared of it, that means you have to do it. Don't talk yourself out of it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's text someone, call someone. When those light bulbs go off, respond. Do not overanalyze it. Do not overthink it. Do not second guess it. All you're doing is dimming your own light. No one else is doing that to you. If a light bulb goes off, explore it. And there's a book called Blink, and it helps people through that. Like, blink at the snap of an eye. Do it. Don't overthink. Just do it. Go. It's kind of like when you ask people, like, if you feel your brain right now, just literally pay attention to your brain as I say this. If you could travel anywhere in the world for your 50th, see, you've already envisioned it, you already see it, right?
Yeah.
The brain, you've already pictured the 50-year-old birthday party, you felt a little bit of it, right? So like the brain it's already ready, it's already on the trigger. So what we do is, I'd say, for your 50th birthday, where would you go? Now that process, you've now missed the moment.
Yeah.
You have now gone into consciously making the right choice that everyone will enjoy. But you get a flash. You get like a flash. You get these flashes of exactly what you know. Everything that comes after that flash is what interferes with the vision.
Yeah.
Unless it's intentional. Unless the goal is to, like my mom said, well, if you don't know, ask for clarity. If the intention is, I genuinely don't know. Absolutely brainstorm that and wait for the answers.
Yeah.
But it's I feel like in order to really grab success, no matter what age you are or what part of this creative industry you're in, it really is honesty. You have to be very honest with yourself about what you want to do, actually want to do, right? Because a lot of people can pull away from what their heart desires because they don't see success.
Yeah, or because we're too scared to own what that thing is, or because we think we're not allowed to. There's so many things. Yeah.
Absolutely. Or too scared to own a resume of failures around that dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If we have to be super, because this was 12 years in the making. This playing a doctor on a network television show.
Yeah.
12 fucking years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but I sit back filing my nails, listening to folks that come into LA after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, even 5 years. And I'm like, okay, well, you either bet on yourself or you don't. That's it. Like, no one is taking this dream away from you.
Yeah.
It's not, you know what I mean? I kept it away from me for a very long time because I was conditioned to put it in the hobby box.
Yeah.
I did that to me. Did nobody else do that to me? Right? So being honest with yourself is key. What do you actually want today? If you were able to erase your resume of experience and just choose, you choose that. Once you choose that, then you decide, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Get very specific. Very specific around what does that look like. So say, for instance, if I say, you know what? I know I've been playing golf thinking I'm going to be a professional golf player, but actually I want to be an actor. That feels weird and scary that I just decided that I want to be a TV film actor. I'm like 37 years old. That's a little late in the game. Like, because here come the brain. The brain is not making all the excuses. Why? Because like I said, the brain is very traitorial. The brain is not designed to make you happy. It is only designed to keep you safe. So you have to be very crystal clear on managing that brain. The way that what helps me is by saying to myself, thank you for your concern, but I got it. Oh, that's sweet. Thank you. That's so nice. Thank you. That's so sweet, but I got it. It's cool. It's fine. And then that voice gets quieter and quieter and quieter, right? So specificity, I've now decided I'm honest with myself. I want to be an actor. I don't want to be a golf player. Cool. Done. Honesty has been done. Amazon Prime delivery request. Now, I have to be specific. What do I want from Amazon? I want to be a series lead on a Netflix series that is a crime drama. Wow, that seems very scary to say out loud and to now put on the board. Matter of fact, now I have to start saying it out in public. Oh God. But here we are, time to do all the scary, gross stuff that feels icky. It is what it is though. That's betting on yourself. Betting on yourself is doing all that stuff before it even shows up, right? So now that I've done that, now every day I wake up, I go into the world expecting something to happen. Either I'm going to bump into someone, and if they ask me, how are you? And I'm going to say, I'm great. And then they'll be like, you know, how's it working out? It's working out great. Actually, I just found out that I have been bullshitting myself, that I actually want to be an actor. And I finally was able to get really crystal clear on what kind of opportunities I want to manifest. So like, that's exciting. At the same time, I have no fucking idea how that's going to happen, and that is thrilling. How are you? Right? And then next thing that person's like, oh, that's crazy because my boyfriend is actually writing a script right now for a fucking Netflix series. I think it's kind of like a crime drama. I don't know. Maybe you could talk to him. Sure. Next thing you know, you just said it out loud, and now opportunities are starting to happen because you're not keeping it a secret, and you're not judging it because you haven't booked a job in 7 years. It doesn't fucking matter. No one cares, right? It's how we deliver it. It's all about the delivery. When you go out into the world, if you go out into the world expecting opportunity, expecting meet cutes and magic and all the things that come with this power we have, then you get really excited about telling people what you finally decided to do with your life.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true.
I mean, well, I wanted to do this, but it didn't really. Like, nobody wants that energy.
All you want to do is give that a punch in the face. Yeah.
Our job is to pull energy up. Messy and all. That's what I did. Messy and all. Everyone's like, how was your day? It was fucking great. I got a free book sitting in the Ricky Lake show. Didn't even know her ass came back out. And then I did an Uber drive, but then I had these cool ass Barcelonian chicks in the back of I think they're called Spaniards. Yeah, had these Spaniard girls in the car, and then they took me to this party that I dropped them off at, and I actually went inside, and that was fantastic. Like, meanwhile, I could tell the same story and say, dude, I got paid only $35 to sit in some talk show audience, and then I drove Uber all night.
Yeah.
Same thing, different delivery.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to know that going into the world, when you have that mentality of expectancy, if you're expecting, you did the first step, I was honest with myself. You did the second step, I was specific about what I wanted, and I put that order up to the universe. Third is now I got to expect it. So that means how you show up in the world every single day, because you never know who's going to be the light bulb. That's what makes it fun. You never know. I had no idea. I could have thought that I would have ran into somebody at Trader Joe's, but instead it was someone on Instagram. One app I've been telling myself to stay off of.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sitting here having this conversation with you in Toronto, shooting a series, if I didn't get on Instagram in that very moment, because the studio test was in 3 hours. So, you know, that's key when pursuing anything. If you know what you want, that's a whole amazing experience. The relationship on your deserving feelings, increasing that relationship and having a healthy relationship with your deserving feelings, with what you feel you deserve, that comes from honoring that voice that we like to call me. Sometimes that voice can be your to-do list. Sometimes that voice is giving you an urge to push you to go get the thing that you're saying you don't have in order to get the goal.
I read something this morning that said, you cannot outperform your own self-image.
Oh!
And I was like, oh, well, there it is. I got it. You know, I mean, it's like, yeah, unless I elevate my self-image, I'm never going to surpass, you know, where I'm at now, let alone in however many years. So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really great.
That's so true.
Honestly, that's it. Whole life experience is a relationship with self.
Yep.
Everything outside, we literally are like actors in our own movie. Like if Josette right now crawled out of that closet and went, if
the closet might be the key to all this.
It might be the key. But if she crawled out of there and then went to a shop, she literally just chose her background artist. And say she made a call and invited one of her girlfriends to come and join her. That has now become her guest star for this episode. Her leading man is Garrett. You're a recurring guest star, Matt.
I'll take it.
You know what I mean? Like, you can create this world, right? So if you can create that just there, by all she's doing is getting in the car and just going to a space and creating this experience, we can consistently create those experiences. When I didn't have an agent, I was still going and sitting in the lobby at CAA. So that will tell you with my crazy ass.
She sure was.
I went to their cafeteria. I would order lunch.
Sure was.
I didn't know a soul.
Dude, we were so broke at one stage. I think we were both driving Uber to try and pay our bills, and we went to the Four Seasons Hotel to go and have bottomless coffee because we couldn't afford the brunch, but we just wanted to be around there. And I remember we saw Brian Grazer, and we were like, "Oh my God, that's Brian Grazer!" Like, wow, okay, we're in the right place, you know.
The best part about that story, Josette,
so ridiculous,
is that while we had no money, and we went to Four Seasons brunch hungry, please believe I knew we were going to eat. Please believe I knew we were going to eat. And what happened? A man walked up from South Africa.
Someone bought us brunch.
Paid the $65 per person fee so that Josette and I could eat Four Seasons brunch with Brian Grazer and Jerry Bruckheimer and Morgan Freeman. Why? Because when we got in that car, believe me, Josette, I saw us eating Four Seasons brunch with a celebrity. Did we have the money for it? No. Did we know how?
Nope.
Fuck no. Did we know when? Absolutely not, because we were shivering like leaves after 17 cups of coffee. But did we quit? No. Get that meal?
Nope.
Hell yeah. That's all it is.
Oh my God.
That literally is life.
We got fed. Yeah. Yeah. Just believe the brunch is coming, and it comes. And then put yourself in a place where the best brunch can come to your plate.
Were we sitting there mad and complaining, sitting amongst the celebrities and the smells of the food? Were we sad about the fact that we didn't?
No, we were having a ball.
We couldn't afford it, and that we didn't have access, and then we put our chins up, we laughed, hungry and all, and we keyed with everybody, and we had a good old time. And when that man came over and asked if we had eaten, we were honest and said, no, we are starving right now, sir. And we all had a good fucking time being honest. And guess what? There we were sitting down having $65 brunch per person amongst the celebrities. Because we were honest, we showed up, and we had a great positive experience and energy. And we showed up with that mentality of expectancy. You know how I knew we had that mentality of expectancy? Because we were dressed to the nine. We knew that shit was going to happen. That's how I show up every day. That's exactly how I show up every day. Oh my gosh. That's it. It's that easy. It's that easy. And then the Four Seasons brunch shows up. Somebody shows up, a person you've never met before, and says, I'm willing to bet on you. I'm really to invest my money into you, someone I don't know, and then walk away. Because I like your energy. I like seeing how you were without having it.
Yeah, you saying I like your energy, I think is it though, and I said it earlier and I'll say it again. I think it is just it's absolute generosity of spirit. And you are so willing to share your joy around the world and to give it and to give your wisdom and to give your inspiration. And yeah, thank you for bringing it to our podcast today and for just doing it in such an honest, unbridled way. It's just so refreshing and so delicious. And I can't wait for people to listen to this because I feel ready to go out there and make even more of my life after this conversation. I know, Matt, you probably do too. So thank you, my darling.
You're absolutely welcome. I'm happy to be here and I'm glad you guys invited me on board. And I'm so proud of you both starting something new. That's exciting. It's really, really cool.